Hello everyone, it's Olga Zarr from SEO Sly. Welcome to SEO Podcast by SEO Sly. Today I have a special guest. This is Rad Paluszak. Rad, how are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Hi, everyone.
Yeah. I want to learn a lot about you, so I just want you to tell me like your entire history of SEO from start to finish. When did you start it? What were the beginnings? Why are you in SEO right now? What brought you here?
All right, I'll try to keep it concise,
You
actually,
don't have
because
to. We have the entire hour. This is your show.
all right, yeah, but like always, it's a long story. That's at least
Okay, yeah.
what everyone says, and I think it's not a particular exemption that
Mm-hmm.
I became an SEO by a sheer chance. Okay,
Oh,
so at the very beginning, a very long time ago, actually like 21 years ago,
oh,
I started making websites. Right, that was like my
uh-huh.
hobby. I was a teenager, and I started building websites. For some reason, I was drawn to the internet, even though I wasn't sure back then, because we're talking like early 2000.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't sure what this whole internet really was, and Poland was a little bit behind with the internet overall. But I was really drawn into making websites. I always wanted to be a programmer, and websites, because they had like a low threshold, somehow fascinated
Yeah.
me, and I
Did you
I built.
create them did you create them like in Notepad? Because I also like was building websites around 2000, 2003 in Notepad
Yeah.
or front page. What else
Oh
was
man,
there?
so my very first website was done in Word, Microsoft
Oh,
Word. Then the
okay.
second one, this is to show you that I was improving on the
Yeah,
way,
yeah, yeah.
right? So the
Sure.
second one I think I made in Microsoft Front Page. Now,
Yeah.
not many people even remember about that. And then I tried my strength with it was like what you say is what you get editor, but it was mainly designed for HTML. Polish editor called it translation is Little Spider.
Yeah, I remember. I
Yeah.
think it was called Pajączek
Yes, exactly,
in
exactly.
Polish.
Yeah.
I
I'm
remember.
gonna tear up in a second because it's great memories. But yeah, after that, so yeah, I learned HTML, I learned PHP, and yeah, since then up until 2010, I thought I was gonna be a developer, right? Web
Hmm.
developer mainly. I was actually making some money building websites. Some were even pretty advanced. But then I had I moved to the UK, and I actually worked in a completely different field. So I wasn't making the websites at that very time in 2010. But then when I came back to Poland, I went to an interview, which was apparently an interview for a position of junior web developer. But then
Okay.
when I went to the interview, they actually said that there was a mix-up, something like that, and they are actually looking for an SEO. And my initial thought was like, what is this? What is that SEO thing? How is that mix-up happens? Am I supposed to like leave now, or what's happening now? But lo and behold, they started talking to me about SEO. They showed me, I mean, they talked me into like listening, and actually compared it pretty closely with web development. And surprisingly, I took it. I liked it. Oops, what was that? Um, I liked it. I liked the idea, and yeah, ever since an SEO. And I think because I started as a web developer, this gives me like a pretty decent background to
Yeah, an
start
advantage.
specializing in tech SEO. And this is like my favorite area of SEO overall.
Hmm.
But yeah, we are all pragmatic. We all know that you gotta do pretty much everything
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
an SEO. So
But
yeah,
like,
that's the whole story.
okay, but that's like I think it is a very, very important thing that you you better understand the way sites are built, and you probably can better communicate with developers, because you probably, I'm not sure if you're in your
I'm one
current
of
work,
them.
if you have to, yeah, because you are one of them. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
that
Well,
was your
if
first job. Yeah, sorry, go
uh,
ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say, if any web developers are listening to me, please don't take don't hold it against me. I know I'm not one of you, because I'm probably like really bad at programming right now, because I don't practice that much.
Yeah, yeah. I also had a phase when I wanted to be a web developer, then Android programmer, but kind of
Oh, nice.
SEO, I think, was something I kind of, yeah, chose. Okay, but so that was your first job, and then you had like other jobs. Was it like agency, in-house? What types of like, because now you are on your own, you have a company or two, from what I read. So like
Yes.
how this transition to being on your own looked like, and
So I think most of my, let's say, professional life as the SEO, so everything from 2010 feels like my actual birth day,
uh-huh.
because this is how I
Okay.
started in the industry. But ever since, I've only spent like, I think, 6 or 7 months working in house, and other than
Uh-huh.
that, it was always the agency life. So going through the ranks, I actually remember my first position that I got in that 2010 was called assistant to the junior SEO,
Okay.
something like that. And then because it
Apprentice.
was obviously, yeah, yeah, I was, yeah, thinking about that now, it's kind of like being a VA back then, but
Yeah.
not remote,
Yeah.
just
Okay.
in the office, VA. But that was only for the trial period, for the probation
Okay.
period of the work, and then after 3 months, I became the actual junior SEO. So I was very proud of
Okay.
that. Uh,
Nice.
and then, yeah, ever since, agency after agency after agency. And last year, well, it's 2023 now, so in
Yeah.
2021 actually, so like 16, 18 months ago, we've decided, me and my business partner Rafał, hello Rafał, by the way,
Hi.
we decided to we decided to go on our own and start
Okay.
with our agencies.
So what are agencies are these? Because I think there are two, right? Husky Hamster.
Yes, this Huskyhamster, which is international link building agency, and this is
Okay.
actually what we started with in August 2021. Mainly because we didn't really want to work with the clients that much.
Uh-huh.
We wanted to be something like a white label link building partner for the agencies, because if you're
Mm-hmm.
working with the agencies, it's sometimes, there's less misunderstandings, less education, less
Yeah.
of the element of educating the client as to what you're doing. But I think we quickly realized that actually you can run your SEO campaign without links, but you can't really run your link building campaign without SEO.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Totally.
so
Yeah.
we realized that by seeing some clients coming to us where they wanted to, for example, obviously I might be making stuff up in terms of the actual numbers, but we had
Sure.
some clients who would want 10 exact match anchor texts pointing at their homepage, and
Oh.
then you visit the homepage and then you see the bloody page title says homepage, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
no, you're basically, slightly dying inside. So yeah, we somehow organically started just talking with those clients, saying, hey, you know what, this isn't actually going to work that well for you. We're happy to take your money overall, but it would work better if you actually optimize the page, right, or optimize the site. And obviously from that they started asking us, okay, so can you do that for us? And we're like,
Uh-huh.
well, we weren't meant to, but well, how my one of my mentors in the past said, never say no to money. So we're
Uh-huh.
like, well, yeah, we are SEOs. Besides, the money element, we are SEOs. So yeah, why not? And we were gaining those clients, gaining some traction. So we eventually decided to also launch an international SEO agency called
Uh-huh.
Non.agency. Um,
Okay.
and the name is actually a little bit tongue in cheek, so to
Yeah.
speak, because we we've worked with a lot of agencies, either being that agency or actually working with those agencies because
Uh-huh.
there were some clients that had two agencies, for example, or we had to work with clients after some other SEO agencies.
Uh-huh.
Um, and one thing we noticed is, even though a lot of agencies say that they treat their clients as their partners, the client's success is also the agency's success.
Success, yeah.
Essentially, it doesn't always look like an actual partnership. So we want to be an agency, but one that isn't like a
Like an
typical
agency.
agency. That's why it's
Okay.
we're called
Yeah, makes
non-agency.
sense. Yeah, yeah, sure. And the Husky hamster, can you see it on my shirt? Why Husky? Why hamster?
Well, that's I hope it's not gonna sound like one of those drunk stories when you're just sitting around drinking and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I've got a great name for a company. No, so since we were working with a lot of agencies, we
Uh-huh.
actually saw what the agencies were struggling with. Every agency, when it comes to link building, if they were doing it on their own, then the link building element was always treated as a secondary entity at the agency, and therefore wasn't always well optimized, as in from the business perspective, or process perspective. The link building wasn't necessarily, or the link building team wasn't necessarily trained as
Uh-huh.
the standard SEO team would be trained. So that's one of the issues. But then if agencies were working with, let's say, third party partners who are delivering them links, then
Yeah.
obviously there's always this business element which boils down to money, right? One agency
Yeah.
wants good quality links and they think this is what they're paying for, whereas the other agency wants to have, how to call it, the link requirement just filled in and get
Yeah,
the
yeah,
money
yeah, sure.
for the service. So our main goal was essentially to create something that is gonna meet this first type of agency, because like I
Uh-huh.
said, we
Okay.
wanted to work as a white label partner for the SEO agencies who don't want or don't have their own link building teams, and we knew what were their pain points. So we wanted to work as their, let's say, outsource in-house team, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, got it.
And for that, we were thinking, okay, so, and don't ask me why, but we essentially wanted to have a name that is animal related. I don't know why. Maybe from Screaming Frog, because we always loved his name.
Okay.
So we wanted to steal something from in terms of the name. But we were thinking, okay, so what is the animal that everyone knows? Okay, that was our first
I have a
criteria.
husky.
Do you?
Yeah. I know
Yeah,
how huskies
and
are.
they are lovely too, right? And
Yeah.
everyone kind of likes this breed because
Yeah.
they're always, funny and energetic and all of that,
Yeah.
but at the same time, very robust, and they
Yeah.
have sometimes too much energy.
Yeah.
So that's where husky comes from. And when it comes to hamster, we were thinking, okay, it's because what it is, we have to just get shit done.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yeah.
just deliver work. And what is one animal that it can be so bloody relentless that it will run in its little circle throughout the entire
Yeah.
night without getting tired, without
Yeah.
stopping. It will just go and get stuff done, right? And this is how Hamster
Okay.
joined the image. So Husky Hamster, here we are.
Okay, makes sense. And you brought a very like I think important point that there has to be something to build the links for. Because I sometimes advise other agencies, they hire me for consultation. And one time I was like hired and to kind of review their strategy, and they were building tons of links for their clients, but they were building the links, but the clients didn't have any like high value quality content, and they were basically burning money. And I said,
Yeah,
start with content, 6 months, 8 months on building content, and then we will look for the pages that may or may not need links. So very
yeah.
good point.
Yeah, and maybe it's not the best from a link building agency co-founder to say that links should come second. But the way I see it, and I know it's going to sound like so obvious, and everyone has heard it a lot of times, like
Yeah, but
probably
tell
every
it.
other day. But you have to have the foundation, right?
Yeah,
And the foundation for a link is how I think so. How does Google connect the relevance of the link of the page that points to you with your own page, right?
yeah,
As in through the link, obviously there's this connection, but Google needs to understand why this link is placed there in the first place. Like,
yeah,
so if there's no relevance, and relevance you're getting mainly through content, right? If there's
yeah.
no relevance, then this link basically doesn't have
Won't
anything
help.
to sit on, right? It
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
have the foundation. But I think because I, at least I see you as a tech SEO also, or
yeah,
primarily, to be honest with you.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think you will agree with me, or at least I hope you will agree with me. That's another element that builds a very solid foundation is tech SEO. But tech
Yeah,
SEO on its own is is not enough, right? Because
yeah, yeah,
tech SEO is like this whole construction, right? Where
yeah.
content is,
But
let's
again, without
say,
content, yeah,
yeah,
tech SEO won't
with
help you.
the content is like let's compare it to interior design. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, like or like yeah. I think that's a good comparison.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, but I was honestly, Olga, we were so surprised because some anchor texts that clients were requesting were just so bloody random. I've seen
Oh,
a
and
lot of
I
yeah,
keep
I mean,
fighting with the read more, read more and view more. I keep finding them in audits, like almost every audit I do, almost like 9
mhm,
out of 10, they have those links. So
yeah, because I think everyone at some point has heard that, oh yeah, you have to build this naturally, right? And the natural link profile obviously includes like stuff like read
yeah,
more,
sure.
see this, click here, and things like that. But I think overall you can get these links into the mix through other
Yeah, to be
through
honest, I
through
was
through
thinking
other
about internal
activities.
links right now, but
Okay.
external as well. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Oh yeah, so that's another interesting point because yeah, I meant external links, and the thing is, like, would you? Okay, that's maybe a question to
Sure.
you. Would you pay? I don't know. Well, obviously you wouldn't pay for links. Let's start with that.
Yeah,
But
that's obvious.
if you were hiring an agency to spend their time on getting you links, and obviously they were
Mm-hmm.
charging you for that time, so you're essentially
Mm-hmm.
paying them for their time, not for the link.
Yeah.
But would you want to pay them for a link that says "click here"?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, it's like.
Depends. Like if maybe if this article was so super related to mine and Google knew that they are talking about the exact same thing or a very similar one, and this article was ranking highly and bringing me actual traffic from this click here, then maybe. But of
Yeah.
course, I'd rather have a nice anchor text. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and when it comes to internal linking, what did you mean with the click here stuff?
Yeah, I meant that I see very often WordPress and not WordPress sites that you have, for example, category page or blog page, you have blog posts, and instead of being linked from their title, they're linked from like the button that says read more.
Oh yeah, I
And
hate that too.
basically, yeah. So so
It
this
doesn't
is
take
like,
that much effort to
yeah.
place it, just a little bit
Yes,
higher,
it's
right?
an easy fix, and usually, like one site, I audited, we fixed all of them, all of those links, because like every internal link was placed like this, and the site like saw a very nice improvements because like Google started to maybe better understand what the site is
Yeah.
about.
Hmm.
And recently, we all see that the importance of links is kind of getting smaller, I would say, as Google is becoming better at understanding content, entities, like stuff like that. So, do you see the difference like now compared to 10 years ago regarding how much effect links have?
Yes, absolutely. And I think I wouldn't even need to go back 10 years
Uh
to
huh.
compare the two periods and say that links are losing on their power, let's say.
Yeah.
Um, I would even say that even probably like 3 or 4 years ago, links
Yeah.
were probably more powerful than they are now. And I think you mentioned, at least again, my opinion, I think you mentioned a bullseye when it comes to why this is happening, because Google is understanding stuff more. Okay,
Yeah.
so I think maybe I'm wrong, and I hope the industry will forgive me if this is
They
like a
will.
wild little assumption. But I think at least a lot of SEOs were just used to building links with, you know, for a link for a link, not link for
Yeah.
quality of that link, what it
Yeah.
brings.
Link for the
Okay.
sake of having a link.
Yeah, and obviously they were paying less attention to what they were getting, where they were placing those links, whether internal or external. And because of that, when Google sees links that don't really make sense, aren't that relevant, or just don't match whatever Google is expecting, then Google is much better at ignoring this stuff, and I think
Yeah,
it does so
simply ignoring.
much, much often now. So yeah, but
Yeah,
and this is maybe I don't know if you want to go this way, but if when it
let's.
comes to the importance of links, and this
Mm-hmm.
is what I mean, external links, so
Mm-hmm.
links that I can build for you, for example,
Uh-huh.
or my company. What do you think about this whole AI content revolution that is happening? And because what I'm thinking is Google will have a big issue with so much content being produced this year, probably
Yeah,
more than in the last
ever.
3 years or 4 years, or even more together. And I've seen a lot of people mentioning something which I personally agree with, that if Google loses this handle on content, on the amount of content that is being produced, and probably this may cause some indexation issues, which Google even last year was pretty open with the fact that there's so much duplicate content that
Yeah.
they
And that
limit
they
indexation
don't
a
have
lot.
to index everything, and they don't.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just thinking, what do you think they're gonna do with so much new content, so much
Yeah. Yeah, I think like
AI produced content?
this was exactly the topic I wanted to jump in, like ChatGPT AI content, because like this is so fresh, and I think there is so much to discuss. So I think like on one hand, maybe links again will have more kind of power, or I would say like the entry to create an article will become way lower, because like everyone will be able to create an article and just publish it. But again, this layer of experience, authority, expertise, and trust, I mixed it, EEAT. I think
Mhm.
this will become the more important component, because like everyone will have this AI base kind of article, but then Google will have to learn how to differentiate between like if there is actually some experience added to that. I think at least we have those other tools that try to detect whether the article was written by a human or by AI. In some cases, I was playing with those tools. In some cases, they kind of tell the truth, and others they really like mix things up. For example, they
Mhm.
said that on my homepage it was written by AI, while there is not a single
Oh, yeah.
sentence from an AI on my homepage. So I think this is like it will still take some time, both for those tools and I think for Google to like kind of really be able to differentiate between those types of content, or to know what content was kind of created. But I think this EEAT aspect is something we should start focusing on right now. What are
Mhm.
your thoughts on that?
Yeah, pretty similar. Similar. We are actually just about to release an article where we compare, I think, 5 or 6 different AI
Oh,
content
uh-huh.
detectors,
Uh-huh.
and some of them are better, some of them are less good. But the thing is, all of them give false positives in both
Yeah.
ways. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
sometimes they will say, "Oh, this content is top notch, human written and stuff," and I just took it basically off the press from ChatGPT.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but going back to Google's issue, I think they have an issue, and I think that red alert that they raised when like soon
Yeah.
after
Red
ChatGPT
coat,
was
yeah.
yeah soon after ChatGPT was published. I think it doesn't only because obviously they have a problem now with Bing and whatever other search engines
Yeah.
implementing something
Yeah.
similar, which to me sounds like a bloody arms race. Because
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
like last week I read that Google will be announcing something new tomorrow, and then I think Microsoft yesterday or the day before
Yeah, the day before they announced integration with ChatGPT, right?
yeah, and they
And
also said that
yesterday, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think they also said that there's an impromptu conference that they're organizing at Redmond.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and I think it's happening also tomorrow. So it's like,
Oh,
yeah, it
okay.
literally sounds like an arms race. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, going back to what I was saying, I think this red flag or red alert wasn't only about the what's going to happen in the search engine industry, like between them and their competitors. I think it also boils down to how they will handle what they were handling up until this point, which is basically delivering great answers to users' queries. And to do that, still they will have to like deal with so much content. It's pretty bad. And I was actually thinking about that very recently, and if we look at their movement, even throughout the last year, we
Mm-hmm.
had helpful content update one, and everyone
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, just
Going
basically shrugged
crazy.
it off." Yeah, everyone was going crazy because people were scared, but everyone kind of shrugged it off because the impact
Yeah.
wasn't that great
Yeah.
initially. But then I mean, maybe you observed that, or maybe I'm just imagining something, but I've been observing a lot of websites with AI content that were dropping off like crazy, and there were like
Uh-huh.
case
Yeah.
studies by people on LinkedIn, Twitter, a lot of these, and I was actually
Yeah.
keeping track of some URLs where they shared them, and it seems like Google had really started going after AI content. Then obviously there was helpful content too towards the
Yeah.
end of the year. So just looking back at this sort of movement shows that Google is really starting to think, and obviously, yeah, I would forget, but you mentioned EAT or to eat. I'm
Yeah,
trying
yeah,
to
yeah.
push this to eat because
Double it.
I think
Yeah.
it sounds better than EAT.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I think even with that, you can tell that Google is making steps to try to sort out this problem
Yeah.
with AI content. And we have quite a big team of copywriters in house, but we've
Mm-hmm.
been working with OpenAI's GPT-3 for quite a while now, and we've never thought of it as something that will replace our content writers,
Mm-hmm.
not even once. Maybe at the very beginning when I was very curious and I asked it something and then it responded for the first time
Yeah,
2 years ago.
yeah.
It sounded
Wow.
like there's literally someone sitting behind the screen
Yeah.
and chatting with me. But yeah, we've never thought of it this way. I think you have to, and maybe this is something I think would be my little advice to content writers.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of fear this thing, just try to embrace it,
Yeah, learn
because
it. Learn this tool.
yeah, it's here to stay, I think, right? And it would be a shame if it was going somewhere all of the sudden after such a great success that, for example, ChatGPT had. So content writers should embrace it. It's great to help you create content, but it's not going to replace it. It's not going to replace your experience. At
Yeah.
least I hope I'm not sounding like Bill Gates in whatever 90s when
Yeah.
he said internet no thank you, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But at least I'm hoping that AI is not going to be able to replace our experience, because if that's going to happen, then hey,
It's the end of the
we
world.
looking for a new job because it will take over SEO as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. Would have to learn how to program similar tools and maybe maintenance of those tools, something like that. I'm making things up right now, but yeah, and I think like the role of the writer will change in that way. They will be more of editors than writers. Maybe they will like simply create those outlines, and then based on those outlines that ChatGPT or other tool creates, they can like write text and then use ChatGPT to improve on that text. But talking about ChatGPT, can you tell me like the ways in which you have been using it for SEO, for content? I'm very curious because like I saw people are sharing a lot of different lists of how they use it, and I am interested to see how you use it. Tell me, tell the audience.
Yeah, so when it comes to ChatGPT, I think we're doing similar things to what a lot of people are doing now, which is just basically playing around with it, testing it.
Uh-huh.
I've done a lot of user intent classification through
Uh-huh.
ChatGPT, because I think it's really good at doing that, and
Uh-huh.
it's like super quicker, a lot
Yeah.
quicker at least than I would go through a spreadsheet and do that. I've tried doing some keyword research with ChatGPT, and I think depending on how you approach it, it can be either pretty good because it can give you some ideas that you wouldn't maybe
Mm-hmm.
think about. However, on the other hand, sometimes it's just going off the rails and it's lying to you straight up or making things
Yeah, yeah,
up
yeah. I had
completely.
such a situation. Yeah, I asked it to write something and then it wrote it and it provided even the references and it sounded very
They were
weird.
wrong.
And then I kind of talked to him and he told me that he made this up basically, that there are
Yeah.
no such things, no references. And then
Mhm.
every time I ask him to write something, I always say, don't make things up. Stick to
Okay.
facts.
Doesn't
So
listen.
yeah, yeah, I think it does, but
Yeah.
But keyword research, but how can you use it for keyword research when it really isn't like connected to the internet? Like it has the data until 2021, right? So like how do you use it? Because you won't have data about like volume,
Yeah, no.
rankings.
So I don't take search volumes from there. I
Yeah,
usually
yeah, yeah.
supplement it with Ahrefs or a
Sure.
similar tool. But I give it like just a few keywords, and then I
Uh-huh.
usually just ask it to expand the list of
Okay.
those keywords, and then maybe try to cluster them.
Okay.
And with keyword clustering, because I tried to approach it from a seed, kind of like what I said when approaching keyword research,
Mm-hmm.
but I also tried to use ChatGPT, where I exported a lot of keywords for a website, and then I asked it to cluster them. And
Uh-huh.
this clustering, I think, at least for me, is still kind of problematic, because it gets a lot of things right. It can select cluster,
Uh-huh.
but then the classification that it uses usually gets a lot of things wrong. So it's a help, but help that you need to very closely watch in order
Yeah,
to
verify.
not mess something up, basically. It sounds like we're back in what is it, communism or something, trust but verify or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
um, but for over 2 years we've been using GPT-3 from
Uh-huh.
OpenAI, with this, I think it was DaVinci, then DaVinci 1,
Yeah.
2, or 2 and 3, which I think ChatGPT is based on, but it's has this ability to talk to you.
To talk, yeah.
Um, and with OpenAI's GPT-3, so the initial one, we've created a lot of content, but all of that was basically AI assisted content.
Uh-huh.
So we basically trained our content writers how to use the tool, to help them just churn out a lot of content.
Uh-huh.
If Because in every single article you have some fillers. Okay, you have
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
paragraph where you have to, um, let's say you're talking about, I don't know, link building in Italy, and you usually have like a little paragraph about link building in general, just an
Yeah,
intro, just so
yeah.
it gives someone a gist of what link building is, right? Maybe not
Mm-hmm.
the best idea, because if you're researching link building in Italy, you probably know what link building is, but
But yeah,
just an example. And it's pretty good to create those short definitions of stuff that help you just put it in the content.
yeah.
It's I know that content writers are really happy with um, how it auto suggests or auto
Mm-hmm.
completes what they were saying. So let's say they start a paragraph with a sentence or two, and then they basically click play, and then open the GPT-3 would carry on with the paragraph. And quite often, if you give it a good prompt, if you give it a good intro to the paragraph or to the whole article, quite often it would do a pretty decent job to continue your thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this way, when we initially embraced it, it doubled our content output
Yeah.
back then. So, and I don't feel guilty, or I don't feel any of that content was against Google guidelines. I could say that, yeah, a lot of the content was ranking pretty well on its
Oh.
own, and to use that as a proof. But essentially, I've been to International Search Summit a couple of
Uh-huh.
months ago, and there was a Q and
Q-
A Q and A
Q&A.
session. How? Why can't I say that? Q&A session with Gary Eesh. I
Uh-huh.
think I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
Um, from Google, and someone asked him what Google spam team, what's Google thinking about AI content,
Uh-huh.
and his answer was essentially that they're cool with that as long as it's human generated, AI assisted, human reviewed content.
Yeah.
So pretty much something like what was it, CNET and this loan or credit
Yeah.
company,
This
and
bank rate, something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is pretty much what they're doing. Obviously, uh,
CNET
speaking
had
of
some things they didn't kind of check, I think, if
yeah,
they
yeah,
started. Yeah.
exactly. Speaking of which, I was going to mention that.
Yeah.
So yeah, do a better job than them. But yeah, essentially that's coming from Gary, so there's no reason not to trust it.
Yeah, and
At
I
least
think
for now.
after the announcement of ChatGPT, I don't remember how much time after that Google said or reviewed their documentation saying that AI content is not against their guidelines. They are after low quality content,
Yeah.
not after like AI generated content.
Mhm.
But when your writers create those articles, do they like rewrite sometimes? What do they rewrite the paragraphs that are entirely written by AI? Because like AI usually speaks in this more formal, predictive way, like which is kind of what sometimes like machines or Google can probably spot or cannot. Do they make sure that like the entire parts of article aren't AI written, or is it okay? Is it working?
Yeah, no, so I think it's going to be our favorite answer, which is it depends,
It depends. Yeah,
because it
sure.
depends what site we're writing for.
Uh huh.
If the site we're writing for has this
Your money,
has
your life, kind of thing.
well, yeah, that's another thing. But I think if the language on the site is already pretty formal, then
Oh,
there's
it
less
suits.
editing as to the voice of the
Mm-hmm.
content. But obviously, we in general heavily edit it to make sure that it's factually correct and that it doesn't speak like a 3-year-old if the site is like for a
For
bit more advanced audience, right? So we
yeah.
do. So our process is basically the content writer's job is to write content, not always with GPT-3, because
Uh
obviously
huh.
not every content can be written with that.
Yeah.
It's pretty difficult to get it to write something very
Very
um,
niche, specific.
yeah.
It
But
will start making things up if you like go very in depth into something they don't know.
yeah, exactly. So the content writer's job is to try this. If it doesn't work, then obviously they work on their own. If it does work, then they produce the content and they read it afterwards. But we also have another proofreading slash editing stage where the content is checked by another person who's the
Mm-hmm.
editor. So yeah, I don't think this much better in terms of the process you can implement to ensure
Uh-huh.
that the quality is there. And yeah, it's working for now. I think
We'll
if we
see.
stick to the high standard, it will remain as
Should,
so.
yeah. Yeah. And for example, ChatGPT, you can also ask him to speak in a specific voice. Like,
Yeah.
have you tried that?
Yes, although we've not tried to use it for the process. I think
Sure.
I think our content writers, head of content team will have to explore that a
Yeah.
little bit better, because yeah, it's amazing how ChatGPT can actually pretend it's
Yeah,
a real
it's
person, and with the voice, with the lingo and everything. So
yeah.
it's pretty clever. I mean, you asked me what else I do with ChatGPT,
Yeah.
and I've never actually written any poetry. But
Oh.
what I did yesterday, I asked
Uh-huh.
it to create a PHP script that is going to pull some data through an API from one of the SEO data um, API providers.
Uh-huh.
And so, first of all, it is like so much depends on the prompt, because it's
Yeah,
crazy. Your prompt
this
is
is what
not
I
very
wanted
specific.
to say, that how do we create those prompts, like the way
Yeah.
that chat's output is valuable.
Yeah, if it's not specific enough, it will go off the rails and it will start making stuff up, and it will do everything around what you actually want.
Yeah.
So when I started with a simple prompt, or create me a script using this API to pull some data, it made up the API endpoint, it made up
Okay.
some of the stuff in the script, it made up a lot of stuff, it made up some libraries in there, and I was like, what the
Okay.
hell is that? But then I actually tried to make it more precise. So I said to
Mm-hmm.
it, hey, so this is the endpoint. Here's the list of the parameters that this endpoint takes, and write it using Laravel framework and
Oh.
Guzzle library. And I was shocked because it did exactly that. And I
Ah.
was like, really thinking to myself, man, this thing is actually pretty good. What I
Yeah.
didn't do yet, because I actually did it pretty late last night, I didn't test the code if it
Okay.
works. But just from reading it, it
It
does
will.
seem on point with everything. So
Nice.
this a lot of uses, which I think you're only limited to your creativity on how you can use that. And again, I don't think it will ever replace web
A
developers
developer.
or WordPress or PHP programmer. By the way, I heard that someone on Twitter said that they asked ChatGPT to write a WordPress plugin for them,
Yeah, yeah,
doing some
yeah.
specific thing, and it
I
did.
heard.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
hearing and seeing all this stuff, you might think that, hey man, our work is going to be, you know,
SEO is
out of the
dead.
windows, and SEO is dead, or even SEO and web development is dead.
Yeah.
But I think it all boils down to, again, embracing the tool, because the tool can be
Yeah.
like really helpful to help you with the productivity, improve your sometimes coding style, because I've seen that
Oh.
someone said that they haven't been coding for a little while, and they asked ChatGPT to review their code, and
Oh.
ChatGPT basically destroyed them in terms
Okay.
of, oh, the code is bad because of this and that. But I think all these things are something that the the tool can be used, and it all just matters. All that matters is how you're going to embrace and how you're going to use the tool. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can use a hammer to go around smashing things, but
Yeah.
you
Or
can
you
use a
can
hammer
use it.
to make a beautiful sculpture as well, right? So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, but this is a tool that can, if you know how to use it, if you learn it, if you embrace it, that can actually like make your work faster, way faster. Okay, but
yeah.
any other interesting prompts you have given to ChatGPT that you liked, like the response?
It's pretty good when you give it a set of keywords, URLs, and ask it to compose like meta description. But I think
Uh
this is like
huh.
basic stuff. It helped us create like thousands of meta descriptions by this point.
Oh,
And yeah, you just give it a few keywords per page, like 2 or 3 keywords, so it can get the context of the page. We give it page titles sometimes, or without page title but the URL, and then it produces like a nice little table with URL
uh
versus the
huh.
new meta description. It's not always great when you ask it to, for example, write within, I don't know, 160 characters limit.
Uh huh. Okay.
And one prompt that I really liked was when I was actually fighting with ChatGPT to have a little bit of content for meta description shorter, and I kept
Okay.
asking it and saying, "Oi, this is more than 160 characters, please limit it
Right.
to 160 characters." And then it produced again like 220 or something. I'm like,
Yeah.
again, this is too long, shorter, and it couldn't get it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I had a few such moments as well. Yeah.
but yeah, it's one thing when you're fighting with it in a funny way, like that, and it doesn't listen. It's another thing when you ask it to, I don't know, tell you how to import drugs to EU, because this is
Oh,
another thing that I read on the internet where
oh, I haven't
someone,
read that, haven't heard.
yes,
So,
someone tricked it to actually design a plan on how to smuggle drugs into the EU or something.
oh,
So yeah, again, creativity. The thing is, I've done so much my hands-on little prompts and stuff that I think in for SEO you can obviously find a lot of examples of prompts that you can use, and I think Murray Haynes had another post about that, like a lot of useful
yeah,
examples. Aleda had a post about a lot of
yeah,
useful examples. I would start with these things. If I didn't know GPT-3 before, if I've never worked with that, if I was just hearing about ChatGPT for the first time and approaching it for the first time, I would try to find some of these example prompts, and then basically try to figure things out, like what do I need to do? Okay,
yeah,
and then since I already know some of those example prompts that people share and they definitely work, I would. And this is what I do, by the way, as well. Still, I'm just thinking, okay, so what do I need to do? And can I figure out a prompt that I will feed to ChatGPT to
yeah,
basically do that thing for me? And obviously, it's not gonna analyze, canonical issues or hreflang issues on a
yeah,
site for you, but it's really good in, for example, creating FAQ schema for you,
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
or
I've been
finding
playing with
some,
that as well. Yeah, this is
yeah.
awesome. Even like generating the questions. I'm just saying this is the topic. Generate FAQs
Mhm.
and
Well,
generally, yeah,
one thing, just by the way, off of that, what we do. So when you go onto huskyhamster.com and
yeah.
look
Mm-hmm.
at some of our blog posts, there's always key takeaways at the top of the
Uh
blog
huh.
post. So all of these are generated with GPT. So we
Oh,
basically prompt is, come up with 3 to 5 key takeaways for this article, and then we copy paste the article, and
uh
then it
huh.
generates that. Yeah, and
Yeah.
these are really good. I tested them against some tools, and the quality is almost never detectable as AI generated, because what it
Oh,
does, it basically finds those key takeaways in your content, and then it's just rewriting your content. So there's no chance it's going to be picked up as AI generated, because
yeah.
it's based on your content. But it saves me, at least, or me or the content writer, I don't know, 10-15 minutes sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
to come up with that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And another thing is, you can do the same with, hey, so can you generate questions to that,
yeah,
questions and answers to that piece of content, and it will do that pretty well as well. And then another step will be to say, hey, so this is an example schema, please add it to what you've just generated, and it will fly with that. So I think these
yeah.
little improvements, these might save you, I don't know, 10-15 minutes each, right? But
Or
if you think
more. Yeah,
about how many times you do that every month,
yeah,
and it ends up being hours and hours and hours, right?
yeah, yeah. I think this is an important aspect of like feeding the content into ChatGPT to improve the output for you. If you feed it with your style, so that Chat can learn your style, then maybe it can better try to imitate your style after all. So that's an
Yeah.
important thing.
Hmm.
Okay, and the way I also like using ChatGPT, this is like the most probably basic use of that, is to generate ideas for around the topic. Like,
Hmm.
what can I write? Give me the examples of topics I can write about technical SEO or any other topic for my client, for example. And usually those examples are quite okay, like better than what I can generate by just doing keyword research.
Hmm.
the
so
standard old way.
some content ideas also can be generated by ChatGPT, because I think and we have quite a few clients in CBD niche, and for example, pretty much every single CBD website has an article saying what is CBD,
Yeah.
CBD dosage, right? And I think if I was Google, I would be like, no, I'm sick of this. I would just pick like literally 10 best the 10 best ones, and then discard everything else. I would just have 10
Yeah.
results for that keyword, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it boils down not to the fact that site owners are lazy or their SEO teams are lazy or anything like that. I think it boils down to, first of all, what we are taught to believe, that Google looks at competitors, and then if competitors have something, you should have that too, right? So we're going through that. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna recreate that same
Yeah.
content and stuff.
Yeah.
But another thing is, yeah, this even though the niche is very broad, sometimes you just lack creative approach, and you're writing, if you're a content writer specifically writing for a CBD niche, obviously you know this inside out, but essentially you would be like, okay, so I can come up with these ideas, but then at some point you'll end up being
Yeah.
almost
You will
getting
run out of ideas.
sick with coming up with these ideas, right? And that's what's best with the machine. It never gets sick of stuff. Yeah, you're gonna be like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
so
You're right. Yeah.
generate some more ideas, and like, for example, avoid some of these topics, right? Or go through that, or I don't know, come up with the ideas where CBD can join with lifestyle stuff. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
you're broadening your niche, you're broadening your what's it called, the
Areas.
the oh my god,
I would
the
help you.
entity coverage
Uh huh. Yeah, I know what you mean, but I cannot also find the words.
yeah, anyway, we'll cut it out.
Yeah, we'll cut it out, or we won't.
Yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, it's great to some tasks, and
Yeah.
I really encourage people to try it. If you've not, some of you guys listening to this have not tried ChatGPT,
You are
please
missing
try it.
out.
It's crazy good to a lot of stuff. And I remember I showed it to parents of a friend of mine, and they were like,
Uh-huh.
they couldn't comprehend how does it
Yeah.
work, how does it
Yeah.
generate this stuff, how does it answer in pretty much any language you want to
Yeah.
ask in. It will answer in that same language, and it's gonna be like really shit hot
Yeah.
good, right?
Okay. So any final thoughts on ChatGPT?
um No, I hope it's not going anywhere. I hope
Yeah.
the competition with between those tools isn't gonna turn into something ugly.
Yeah.
Uh, I
Good
think
point.
I hope Google's Bard will be useful, and I hope it's not going to replace the search volume and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
traffic to the point where we're gonna struggle to get some visitors to the sites that we work with.
Yeah, yeah, that's my hope too. Yeah, because yeah, this is not going to happen because Google has to have those because it is like advertisers, right? For them ads, it's how they work. So they have to have people, they have to send people to other sites because they earn money. This way, I'm hoping.
But you know what? And I know we're almost running out of time, but it's crazy if you think about how Google could implement Google Ads into
Hmm.
something that gives you a straight up answer, right?
Yeah,
You could be like um,
yeah,
Bard sponsored area, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
if
yeah,
someone asks about, I don't know, what's the summarize some of the Shakespeare's work, and then boom, the Bards or another AI content generator on Google would tell you, oh, this is where you can find on this website, or something you can find on this website.
Yeah.
It's the best, and then it generates the prompt. Right?
Huh.
That's
That's
crazy to
interesting.
explore.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Rad. So where can people find you? Like, what's the best place to follow you, connect with you?
Best place to find me is on Twitter or LinkedIn, or through our websites, huskyhamster.com and
Okay.
Non.agency.
Okay. And are you on Mastodon?
I am,
But not
I am,
active.
because obviously everything that's happened with Twitter, I am, but I'm not very active. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not generally active on social media that much,
Okay. But
but
we don't have a choice. We have to be a little bit with our kind of professions.
yeah, I will go back to Mastodon next
Okay.
quarter. That's my goal.
Okay. Okay. So thank you. Thank you very much for this chat. It was lovely and very, very interesting.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. So thanks everyone and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.